Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Emerge Academy Maths lesson. This is the first video of our Fractions Made Simple lesson series where we'll be breaking down fractions and making it simple for everyone to understand. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming lessons in this series. And also, parent and carers, just to make you aware that there is a workbook that goes along with the lesson series, and you'll find a link to that in the description below. It will go into even more depth than what I'm going through in these videos, and will also provide some practice questions for your children to have a go at. So make sure you grab yours today. But without any further delay, let's jump into today's lesson. This lesson is aimed at grade 4 and 5, and by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand what fractions are, compare and order fractions with confidence, and also add and subtract fractions successfully. So let's start with what fractions are. What does a fraction really mean? A fraction describes parts of a whole. When we split something into equal parts, each part can be described using a fraction. So the key word we use here is equal. The parts must be the same. If they are not equal, we can't use fractions. So as you can see on the screen, there are two different diagrams. The first one is showing equal parts. These halves are the same size. And then the unequal parts. As you can see, the parts are not equal. They are not the same size. Can you think of something that you can share that might need equal parts? I'll give you a few seconds to think of something. So, was you able to think of anything? Here's the three that I thought of. Maybe a pizza, or a chocolate bar, or maybe even a sandwich that you could share with somebody. So let's have a look at the two numbers that make up a fraction. When we look at fractions, the top number is called our numerator. This tells us how many parts we have. Our bottom number, this is called the denominator. This tells us how many equal parts make up a whole. Think of it like a pizza. A pizza cut into 4 equal slices, and we've eaten 3. This is 3/4 of a pizza. Now, here's a common mistake to avoid. Bigger bottom number does not mean bigger fraction. For example, we have here 1/2, which many of us know is 1/2. A half can also be presented as 0.5 when we look at it as decimals, and we'll go into more depth on that a little later on. 1/8 or 1/8 can be also called 0.125 when we convert it to a decimal. Now, 0.5 is bigger than 0.125. So having a bigger number on the bottom doesn't necessarily mean that the fraction as a whole is bigger. 1/2 is bigger than 1/8, even though the 2 on the denominator is smaller than the 8. So don't look at the number on the bottom, because it doesn't always mean that the fraction itself is bigger just because the number on the bottom, our denominator, is bigger. One of the only times that we can use the denominator to determine the size of the fraction is when the denominators are the same. And remember, denominator is our bottom number. So when the bottom numbers are the same, you can just compare the top numbers. So having a look at these fractions in front of us, which one is bigger? Pause the video and work out your answer. Did you guess it right? Of course, it's 5/8. 5/8 is bigger. Both fractions are divided into 8 equal parts. 5 parts is more than 3 parts. So 5/8 is bigger than 3/8. Always remember that when the bottom numbers are the same, the fraction with the bigger top number is larger. Let's have a look at something called equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions look different, but they have the same value. For example, 1/2 is the same as 2/4 or 2/4, which is also the same as 4/8. Now, how do you make equivalent fractions? You multiply or divide the top and bottom by the same number. So in this case, we have multiplied by 2. So the bottom number, we've times it by 2 to get 4. The top number, we've times it by 2 to get 2. Same again with 2/4, we've times the top number by 2 to make 4. And we've times the bottom number by 2 to make 8, which is how we've gotten the 4/8. If we was to continue it, we'd do 4 times 2 to make 8, and then 8 times 2 to make 16. So our next fraction in this sequence would be 8/16. So let's have a look at this worked example. We want to find the equivalent fraction to 2/3. Or in some cases, we say 2/3. So our first step is to choose a number to multiply. So let's use 2. 2 is the easiest to begin with. So if we multiply our top number, which is our numerator, by 2, we get 4. And if we multiply our bottom number, which is our denominator, by 2, we get 6. And we can write our new fraction as 4/6. Right, so let's have a look at these questions. I want you to have a go, pause the video here, and write down these questions and answer them. And then we'll go through the answer. So how did you get on? Let's have a look at the questions. So which is bigger, 2/5 or 4/5? Well, we know that the denominators are the same. So what we're going to look at is the top number. And we can see that 4 is bigger than 2. So we know that 4/5 is bigger. Question 2, find the equivalent fraction. Now remember, to find the equivalent fraction, we're going to times the top number and the bottom number by the same number. In which case, we're going to stick with 2 to begin with because it's straightforward and easy to do. So we're going to times the top number, multiply the first number by 2, and that gives us 2. And then obviously here, we'll also do the same thing here. We'll times it by 2, which will give us 8. And it's already been done for. So the equivalent fraction to 1/4 is 2/8. Question 3, simplify this fraction. Now to simplify fractions, what we need to do is we need to do the opposite. We need to divide. So again, we can look at these numbers and we can see that they are both part of the 2 times table. So what we will do is we will divide the top number by 2, and we'll also divide the bottom number by 2. And what does that give us? Well, 6 divided by 2 equals 3. And 8 divided by 2 equals 4. So our answer is 3/4. And now let's have a look at this final question. We need to add these 2 fractions together. Now, because our denominators are the same, we don't have to do anything to them. We can keep them the same. And then we will now add our top numbers together. So 2 plus 3 equals 5. 5/7. Okay, so let's have a look at adding fractions when we have the same denominator. So an easy rule to remember is Add the top numbers, keep the bottom number the same. When our denominators are all the same, it makes it really easy. So just keep the same denominator and we'll just add the top numbers together. So for example, 1 plus 3 equals 4. Our denominator for these two fractions are the same. So we don't need to change it. We can just keep it the same. And then all we have to do is add these two together. So think of it as 1/5 plus 3/5 equals 4/5. The pieces are all the same size, split into fifths. So we just count them. Now here's my challenge question for you. Emma says she ate more cake than Sam. Emma ate 3/4 of her cake, while Sam ate 1/2 of his cake. Is Emma definitely right? Explain how you know. Right, so let's check out the answer. Emma is definitely not right because we need to know if the cakes are the same size. If the cakes are the same size, then yes, 3/4 is more than 1/2. But if Sam's cake is much bigger than Emma's cake, Sam might have eaten more, though he ate a smaller fraction. There are other correct answers too. The key is to understanding that fractions compare parts of a whole, and we need to know if the wholes are the same size. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. Today we learned that fractions show equal parts of a whole. The top number, which is our numerator, shows how many parts we have, and our denominator, which is the bottom number, shows how many parts there are in total. We can compare fractions when denominators match. Equivalent fractions have the same value, and adding fractions with the same denominator is easy. So make sure that you keep practicing. Again, in the description below, you will find a link to the workbook that goes along with this video series. So make sure you grab your copy and work through the questions to help further cement your knowledge. You are doing such a great job. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video lesson. Bye for now.